Hi everyone and welcome back to the E-commerce Impact podcast. Today we have an amazing guest from the UK. Will Lawrenson is here to talk to us about conversion rate optimization. Welcome along, Will.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Super excited to have you. I think we met up in London, nearly a year ago now, towards the end of summer last year, wasn't it? So nice to finally have you on the podcast. So would you like to maybe start by introducing yourself to the audience, telling them a little bit about your agency and what you guys do?
Yeah, sure. So I run Customers Who Click. We're a CRO agency for e-commerce brands. I've been going about 4.5 years. My background before was actually mainly in startups, including one of my own, and kind of doing a bit of everything marketing-wise, which I suppose is what you do in startups, isn't it? And I think it was actually, there were two companies back to back. It was literally the same experience, and that's why I'm in CRO now, which was they were both funded startups. We were told, here's your money, go acquire customers, go grow the business. And both these companies, you could see that, our landing pages weren't good enough, our sign up flow wasn't good enough, the purchase flow, the ability to select what you wanted, just the actual experience itself wasn't good enough. But the final product was. That was actually quite good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think on the business side, there was the bit of this, build it and they will come sort of thing. And that, they thought, well, it's the product is there, the product is good, it says what it does on the tin. So all we've got to do is drive traffic to it.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure everyone listening knows that's not the case. You've got to have a good message, you've got to have a good on-site experience, good conversion flow. And yeah, so I started to do more customer feedback, find out why people weren't buying, why they were leaving. And then started working with the product and development teams to build out what we needed to actually get done. So, I remember going in and saying, look, ditch the loyalty program, ditch the referral program. Why on earth are we trying to build our own email platform? Right? Who even does that? Yeah. And this is only like 2016, 17. So we're not talking about, years ago when there were no options or fewer options. There was plenty of option for email platforms. And yeah, I think I just love doing that, right? I love getting that customer feedback, working up what people actually meant by it, and coming up solutions to fix the problems and to help them out. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'd never had any interest in the advertising side, really. I didn't, I do like ads. I actually quite like watching ads to see what's going on, but I've got no interest in running Facebook campaigns, PPC campaigns. It's not my thing. My thing is, once you've got that attention, how do we turn it into a customer?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? You say you don't like ads, but I think fundamentally we pretty much have the same job. Our job at its core is understanding the customer, what drives them, what motivates them, what stops them, what objections they have. And the ad has to do that job, and then the site has to do that job. So I think, yeah, it's just different parts of the journey that we're focusing on converting them from. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to dig into this with you because I know you have your own process that you use for clients to get them to improve the conversion rate. And I'm sure that's been developed and kind of refined over many years. So I'm sure the listeners will be really keen to hear about that. So I think you've said you've got a case study you want to take us through of that will help us understand what this process is like and how we can how the listeners can implement it in their business. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the brand?
Yeah, absolutely. So we worked with a brand called Mod Lighting last year. They're a kind of designer lighting sort of brand. So quite unique products. They're different. They're quite interesting, right? It's not the sort of stuff you go pick up at, here it'd be Homebase or B&Q or IKEA even. I guess in the US it'd be like Walmart, Target sort of thing. Actual stuff that people like to show off, right? It's not function. It's not just functional. So yeah, they came to us. They were in a position where, and this is the sort of position I love, right? They were doing well and they wanted to do better, which is the position we like. Not so keen on brands who are like in panic mode and struggling, where it becomes very much like every penny counts, and they're expecting magic, and it's kind of like I'm not going to fix that. That's not what we do. That is probably more your space, right? How can we change up the ad side of things to get you the right traffic, make sure that works. Most brands have a reasonably good website, right? So that's really where the problem is. So they were in a good spot where, they were doing comfortable 6 figures a month, pushing to get to 7, and they understood that CRO would be something that would help them get there. So they reached out to us to help. They'd done, a few changes to the website themselves, but never run a CRO program. So they hadn't been testing any of these changes. They'd just kind of done what they thought looked good. They'd picked up some stuff from competing websites and other websites. They'd introduced some apps and things. So and obviously, they hadn't really seen results from that. And I suppose the two parts of that is, firstly, if you're not testing, it's very, very difficult to see results of small changes.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, if you're just taking things from other websites or just installing apps without really thinking through how this works for your business and your audience, you're probably not going to see results. So they were falling back on sales quite a lot, sales and discounts, to the point where they were not exactly a discount brand, but the numbers dropped noticeably if they tried to take the discounts off the site. So they were in a bit of a perpetual sales season, I suppose. So how do we approach this? So we have our methodology, which is the UAM method, which is usability, anxiety, motivation. So usability starts with, firstly, does your website work, right? Really basic level. Let's audit the website, look through all the data, make sure it just works properly across all devices. And so I was auditing some data, some GA4 accounts yesterday, actually. And yeah, there's a particular browser size, where the conversion rate's about 50% of the rate of everything else, right? So that's a red flag, right? We've got to look into that and think, well, why? It's desktop as well. It should be. It looks like it's a laptop size. So we're looking at that, like, why is this a problem? What's going on here? And the most common problem we find is normally there'll be a live chat pop-up, or a live chat widget, or a loyalty widget, which sits on top of a call to action, right? And that causes a block, which is obviously a big problem. So that's the first part of usability. The second part of usability, which is more important, is how good a job does your website do helping people find and buy what they're looking for, right? So wherever I land on your website, whether it's a landing page, a product page, your home page, a blog, how quickly and easily can I go and find the products that I'm looking for? And again, like most websites do a pretty good job of this, right? If you've got your pretty standard Shopify website, you're set up well. The biggest issue we normally come across here is people using like branded category names. So things that at a glance don't tell you what this is, right? So customers had to go clicking through different collection pages just to find out if they're even in the right place on the website. Slows down the process. It kills conversion, right? So how we talk about, what is it, for every 1 second your website takes to load, you lose about 15% of conversion rate or something. Similar thing sort of applies to just how much time a user has to spend on your website to find what they're looking for, right? The website might have loaded, but if they're having to click between categories just to find what they're looking for, then they're more likely to bounce.
How are you figuring out the answer to that question? Are you yourself kind of auditing the site as a user and pretending to kind of look for something, or are you looking at recordings? Are you getting someone else to look at the site? Like, how do you decide whether that they've done a good job of that or a bad job? Because sometimes it's hard to see the label from inside the jar, right?
So yeah, there's three approaches we normally take. The first is we will have a run through of the website first, just to look for any quick wins. The second one is we get other people to do it. So we will either use tools like UserBrain or user testing, get people to record themselves going through the website. We set them a task, go and buy this product, or you've been tasked with doing this, go to this website and achieve it. It can be whatever you want. Initially, we normally do a purchase because we just want to see that whole purchase flow. Sometimes if we think there's a very specific problem and we're struggling to work out what it is, we will do this again, and we will provide a task which we know will cause interaction with this problem point, but the user wouldn't know that. We're not specifically saying we've got a problem here. Can you help us fix it? And the third part, is heat maps, scroll maps. session recordings, having a look at what people are doing on these pages. Where do they click? Where do they not click? In session recordings, we're looking for any kind of back and forth behavior. Clarity has a piece of data for this. It's like quick backs or quick returns, something like that. Basically, where someone makes a click and then almost immediately clicks the back button.
Right. So that's like a negative signal if that's happening a high ratio of times.
Yeah, it kind of indicates either they've landed on the wrong page, they've immediately realised it's the wrong page and so they've clicked back, or potentially they've clicked and then the site takes a while to load and they give up and just click the back button. So yeah, that's the usability side. So then we've got, and I've got a couple of examples I can share on this, on things we've uncovered for clients or for mod. Then we've got anxiety, which is questions and concerns that someone has about your products and your business. So here we're looking at what are all the questions someone has to ask about your product before they can buy it. And this, it might sound like something you could just kind of get your product out on your desk, look at it and be like, right, what questions would I ask? What do we think is important about this? You have to go ask your customers this. There are so many questions that pop up as extra little things that, as soon as you hear it, you think, yeah, right, that makes sense. I get it. That's important. But you might not think to do it immediately just by yourself. So an example with mod lighting actually on that was people were asking, how do you change the light? How do you change the light bulb? What happens if it goes in 2 years' time? Mostly LEDs, right? So they should last a while. And they were asking, can I go down to my local shop and just pick up a bulb? Or do I have to contact you about this to get a replacement or to get you to fix it? And really, the unspoken question there was, if I spend a couple of $100 on this light and it breaks in 2 years, are you still going to be here to fix it? Right? That's really what was being asked here. Am I tied into a company and could that company go bust? Or am I free to replace it at any time? So it's that sort of thing where normally people focus on the immediate requirements for that product, right? So I've got a standing desk, right? My immediate requirements for this were the dimensions of the desk. So will it fit in the space that I've got for it? How high will it go up? How low will it go? What sort of weight can it handle? Can I get my monitors on it and everything? But one of the questions for later down the line is, it's an electric motor system. What happens if that breaks? Right? How do I get that replaced? And who's going to replace it? And fortunately, this desk happened to be at a price point where I thought, do you know what? If it breaks 2 years down the line, I'm happy with 2 years usage. That would be fine. But some desks are easily £500-600 plus, and that's where you want this thing to last quite a while. So yeah, on the one side we've got the questions about the products, and then the other side is about the business, and that's basically, who are you? Why should I trust you? Why should I buy from you? Do other people buy from you? And some of that is like returns policy and customer service based. So does it look like it'd be easy to contact you if I have a problem, that sort of thing. And there's some offsite. Firstly, do you have reviews on third-party websites? But also, do your socials look busy? Are you active on Instagram? Do you have a following there? Do you have a live story if I come to your page? Just little things like that where it doesn't seem like a major thing, but actually, if I mean personally, if I see a store has got, I'd say, at least 10,000 followers on Instagram, and it has a story, that tells me that pretty much tells me it's a legitimate business.
Because it's interesting. Like it's a kind of a cheat code where we don't have to think too hard. We don't have to check, the tax returns for this company to know if they're legit. If we can see these certain signals that we can trust them, and the more of them we can see, the better, right? Yeah, my partner bought some shoes the other day, and it was a scam site. And I said to him, you didn't check their Instagram? You didn't, their support email is a Gmail, you didn't notice? And he just didn't think of these things. But yeah, people are mostly savvy and they're looking for...
The Gmail would be a big red flag if I saw that, yeah. But yeah, just checking social as a quick thing. If someone has live chat, if I see a live chat icon, I'm normally happy. If something else has made me question the website, then I might go back to it and see if I can speak to a real person. I'm more likely to go check Instagram or TikTok or something to see if they're active on social. But yes, it's not just the on-site thing. And I think actually, going slightly off away from the case study here, this is probably one of the biggest CRO is that it is on-site optimization, when actually it's not that one piece. CRO is something that feeds into pretty much every aspect of the business. So, including the paid side, we don't sit here doing our own thing, doing our research and just running tests on the website. We pass our insight on to the email team, to the paid team, to SEO, to the product team, customer service. It's a separate, CRO is kind of a separate part of the company. It kind of is marketing, but it's also kind of not, because it's not a marketing channel in the same way. So then we've got motivation, which is kind of the most important factor, really. It's, why should I buy this product? What's the wow factor? If I've got a pain point that I'm trying to get away from, or a desired outcome that I'm trying to achieve, do I feel like this product's going to help me get there? Right? That's the key thing. Is it going to level me up, essentially? And the reason this is important is, when you think about it, if I've come to your website, right, the usability piece is, can I buy it? Right? That's very, very simple, basic factor. The anxiety piece is, are my questions answered? Does this product tick all the boxes on my list and fit all my requirements? But even at the end of that, if all you've done is a checkbox exercise, you don't feel the urge to buy, right? Unless you've come to the website with a very strong desire, you need this product. So it's probably more when you have searched for it, when you've come to the website yourself, when you go to Amazon, more likely to be thinking, cool, tick, 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 it does what I need to do, I'll buy it. But in most cases, if you've come through an advert, like a Facebook ad, Instagram, TikTok, you might never have heard of this product before, but you might have that problem or that that desired outcome. So if you tick all the boxes, you just sat there going, yeah, cool, it's a product, does what I need it to do, but all right, let's see, I'll keep shopping around or whatever. So we use motivation factor to get people over the line, right? We want people to be reading that product page, reading that description, looking through the imagery, reading your reviews and everything, and at the end of it, sat there going, I need this now. I want this. If I could have it in my hands right now, that would be the ideal situation. If I have to wait for tomorrow, fine, let's get it tomorrow. So yeah, like I said, we focus on, is this going to get you away from a pain point? Is it going to get you towards a desired outcome? And then we use a little bit of scarcity urgency to kind of nudge people forwards. But that's very much the, if you order it by 3 p.m, you can get it tomorrow, sort of thing. That sort of urgency, which just nudges people over the line, not the 33 other people are looking at this product right now and there's only 2 in stock, and also this discount is only valid for 30 seconds.
Thanks,
That stuff
Temu.
doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all pretty sick of that kind of marketing with what Temu's been up to, but yeah.
Yeah. I saw somewhere they're spending billions on marketing, insane amounts of money. I suppose they're just trying to, I guess, do what Amazon did years ago, right? Just buy the market and
just
then
gobble it all
then
up. Yeah.
Profitability.
It's pretty interesting. So there is usability and then there is anxiety. So thinking of what objections people might have, what worries they might have, and kind of fixing those. And then you've got, what did you call the third one? Motivation?
Motivation, yeah.
Motivation, yeah. And that's probably the biggest one, right? So how do you go about figuring out what it is that motivates people? What's the process there? Because we're not plucking this out of the air, are we, as marketers? That's not a good way to go about marketing, just based on gut assumptions.
Some people do, and I mean, some people get lucky, right? Or you can probably get to a certain size doing that, because you can get that sort of message out, and you're gonna get that low hanging fruit of people who are happy to see a message and go, yeah, go on then, I'll have that. But we use a variety of methods, and it's pretty much all customer feedback related, right? So where to start? First, what we'll do is we'll normally send an email survey out to customers. So to a client's email database. So this will be people who have bought within the last 30, maybe 60 days. The sooner the better, because then it's fresher in people's memories, why they wanted to buy, what that experience was like. And then we also target the people who have never made a purchase on their website. So here we're looking for, from the buyers, it's what was important to you about this product? Like, what information did you need to know? What did you need it to do? What are you trying to achieve with the product? And then obviously, have you achieved it? Get that feedback on how they feel it went. And then from the non-buyers, it's why haven't you purchased? So some of the similar questions, what's important to you about this product? What's important to you about a business that you're buying from? What are you trying to, what are you hoping to achieve with this product? Why haven't you bought it from this business? And then also with the non-buyers, we'll go into a bit of, have you bought from another company? If yes, who have you bought from? What have you bought? What do you like about their business and their service? And so we'll kind of do the same questions, similar questions to our buyers, but for the non-buyers about the people about it. So we use all that information to put together that kind of the motivation factor, what do they care about with the products? But also we pick up all these questions people had. Right, so what information is important about the product? We're getting people to literally tell us what is the information that they want to see to be able to make a purchase. And for the non-buyers, some of that will fit into the why didn't you buy? And some of the rest of that is, price obviously comes up as a factor. And sometimes just different questions come up and different things which might not be very actionable feedback for us in CRO, but it's why I made that point earlier about how CRO is not just website optimization. We feed back into other teams. So what we found with mud lighting was a large number of people hadn't bought because they just weren't ready yet. Because so many of them, like a huge number of these people, were either building a new house, or building a new house, buying a new house, or remodeling a house. So all of these were long-term projects. And they weren't buying until they were basically close to ready to be able to buy. So this is feedback we gave them to say, well, your welcome series ends after about 14 days, but all your customers are telling us that we've captured their email address 6 months in advance of them making that purchase. So you need to spread your welcome series out. You need to get some retargeting in for the 3, 4, 5 months down the line as well, because that's when people are getting close to the buying decision. So then we move on to customer reviews. So we'll look at reviews of both our client's business and their competitors. And so we'll either export or scrape the reviews from wherever we can find them. And then here again, we're looking for what are the good things people are saying, what are the bad things, right? What are the things they've used the product for that they benefited from? Do they have any complaints about it? What are the key things that keep popping up? So if you look on Amazon for like vacuum cleaners, you'll see that so many of them say suitable for pet fur or great for pet hair in the title. And it's probably because that came from customer feedback, with loads of people in reviews saying, I've got a dog, or I've got these pets. This product is great for picking up the hair from them. And so, I imagine for anyone who's not a pet owner, I think they still care about that, because if that pet hair is difficult to pick up and it's a problem, and so pet owners want a powerful vacuum cleaner that will take pet hair off the floor, you're also going to be thinking, well, I may not have pet hair, but that's going to make my floor really clean. It's going to pick up everything, right? So it's actually a piece, like a selling point that, this is a bit hypothetical, a theory of mine, but there's no I'm not going to get, a non-pet owner is not going to get put off by the pet message in there. It should only be a positive factor. So we've got reviews. We do the same with customer service. So we'll go into our client's customer service account. We will look at all the tickets they've been receiving over the last few months. And again, it's like, what questions pop up? What are the pre-purchase questions that people ask? What are the post-purchase complaints they have, feedback they have, and how can we use this to optimize the website? And then we'll also do interviews with customers if we need to go a bit further. So we normally keep interviews for a little bit further down the line, because we can normally get enough from the rest of the feedback to have a lot to work with. And then we'll go into the interviews a bit later to start deep diving into very specific issues that we've identified. So for another lighting brand, actually, that we're working with at the moment, they have a light emitting color scale. right? So from, warm light to cool light, and I think there's about eight, maybe 10 different colors. And what we've discovered is that people just people don't know what the information means at first. So when you look at the information, it says, oh, it's 2,700 lumens or whatever. People are like, I don't know what that mean. So what we've done is we've actually put together a video, which it's just a still frame. It's a still frame, and it will just move through those eight or 10 phases, about I think it's 3 or 4 seconds for each one. So you get enough time on each one to really see it, really understand it, and it just moves through them. And then we're actually going to test that against a static version, or more like a scrolling. It's not really a carousel. I don't know what this thing's called actually. It's like you can see one image up front, and you can see the images slightly behind to the sides. So it's like a rotating carousel, I guess. So we set it up like that, so you'll be able to like kind of swipe through them to see the different things. And these pictures show what this light looks like in an actual room, which is the really key thing, because that's what people need to see, right? Especially if they don't have a clue what the numbers mean. You have to show them what this actually will look like. So that's what we're doing for them. So that's most of where we get our motivation from. So it's surveys, interviews, reviews, and customer service tickets.
So now you have these 3 kind of buckets of insights of things that you think are going to improve the conversion rate. How do you go about, like, that's a lot of things to test. Do you test them all at once? Do you make a huge big change based on all your theories? How does it work then?
So what we found is different. We normally find different tests more often, or different parts of the method work in different places more often. So anxiety and motivation much more frequently on a product page, whereas usability, there might be some tests we can do, but probably usability is fine. So we just need to focus on selling the product itself, right? That's the most important thing. While on the homepage or the PLP, product listing page, that's where we see usability come in more, right? Because we need people to navigate to the products they want. We need people to be able to filter and sort the collection page as they need it. So that kind of helps break out some of the stuff initially. But then we have a prioritization model. So it uses 8 points to just help us determine what's actually going to be the most important, and we score it. We score things as we go through. So it uses things like, is this targeting usability? Is this targeting anxiety or motivation? If it's targeting one of those, it gets an additional point. If it's targeting usability, it doesn't. Did it come from customer feedback? Did it come from analytics, heat maps? There's a few things like, is it above the fold? Is it going to be immediately visible? Or sorry, is it noticeable within 5 seconds? And then we have, is it adding or removing something from the page? So part of it is the research side, like, have we actually been told that we need to do this and that this is an important change? And then also we're prioritizing based on how much impact we think it's going to have on the page. So if this is, if we're talking about putting something in the footer, that's obviously going to score quite low because it won't be above the fold. It won't be visible in 5 seconds. It's most likely not come from any sort of customer feedback or anything. So this will score quite low, right? It would probably score 3 points. Yeah, I can't imagine it scoring any more than 3. And that 3 points is going to be because it requires very little dev time, right? So we have, on the prioritization model, we have a bit of dev. Whereas putting a Amazon style annotated imagery in the product gallery, that should score really highly, because the reason they're annotated is because we want information on there. That information should be coming from customer research. It's above the fold. It's going to be visible very quickly. It's going to be targeting anxiety, probably motivation as well, and probably requires very little dev time. And actually, if they're just annotated images of what you've got already, probably not going to require much design work either, because you just need someone to create the information on the image. We're not talking about having to go do a full photo shoot. So yeah, we use a scoring model like that to determine what the prioritization should be for our testing.
And so that gives you, that probably spits out like some kind of ordered list of what you're going to test. And is it one by one you're testing these things?
So we do one per page type. So it'll be homepage, PLP, PDP, cart, checkout, or actually
Mhm.
less checkout now because of Shopify. So it tends to be those first four. We also have what we call global, which we have to be a little bit more careful with because that does cross over pages. So that is search, basically the top bar. Everything you see that is fixed and visible across every single page of the website. Yeah, that's where we have to be a little bit careful because that does cross over. Otherwise, the other situations where we can do a bit more testing are if you are high traffic, if it's a high traffic website, we can do specific product page testing as well. Obviously, if they've got enough per product page, we can do it across many. But sometimes what we'll do is we'll say, look, we've got these 10 products are worth 50% of your traffic. So let's take these 10 products, let's run this test on them. And we quite often do this when we know we have to make quite product specific changes as well. So doing that to 50 products is going to take a long time. It's going to be a lot of work. If that test goes badly, it's a lot of wasted work. So we'll try and pick out the top 10 products. We'll do that test there. If it works, then we roll it out to everything else. We've also got landing pages, so we'll test landing pages for a brand as well. So we can be running 5-6 tests at a time for a client, and then the test per month purely depends on how much traffic they've got, how quickly we can hit statistical significance and sufficient power of a test. So yeah, how much data they've got to put through these tests.
Yeah, amazing. So you have these different tests running on different pages, and I guess you've got a criteria by which you're judging that particular test, which is not like, oh, overall we increase the conversion rate of the site, because that's a very noisy metric, I imagine. But are you looking at like, okay, from people who touched this product page, how many converted before and after the changes? Is that the kind of thing that you're doing?
Yeah, so it depends a little bit on the test we're running. And sometimes it depends on the brand, how much data they've got, stuff like that. Most of the time, we're not looking at conversions. We're looking at revenue per session. So this is the blended metric of AOV and conversions. Because if we send your conversion rate up 15%, but your AOV comes down 30%, you're going to lose money. Doesn't really make sense. Obviously, every now and again, a brand says that's what they want, right? They want more customers through the door because they know that they'll get that lifetime value. You know, they're in acquisition phase. That's absolutely fine. Most of the time, we're looking at revenue per session. What we'll always all be doing is sometimes looking at a micro conversion metric that we're trying to influence with what we're doing. So, for example, if we were to put some new annotated images in a gallery, we would set up a conversion event for how many people actually click on that in the first place, because we want to know if our conversion rate changes, how does that correlate with the number of people who actually look at those images? Because if no one interacts with it and your conversion rate changes, either something else has happened, something else has changed because of this test, or you've not run the test long enough and actually it's not statistically significant, and you've just got you have a random, just a random, what's the word I'm looking for? Variation in the data, right? So you happen to have got a few more high intent people on one side of the test than the other.
Anomaly, right?
Anomaly, that's it. Yeah,
it's probably one of your most used words.
Yeah, I'm client, but it's early and I've not had a coffee. So a common thing we've seen is, sometimes a client will really insistent that a video is really important to them, right? They think this video really contributes to conversion. So obviously we look into heat maps, session recordings. We'll see, do people click it? Do people see this? Do they scroll far enough on the PDP to have a look? If we decide no one's seeing this and we need to move it to see whether it works, if we move it, there's obviously the risk that we move something else. So if we want to pull this really high up the page, there is the possibility that, maybe the call to action comes down or some USPs drop down or something changes. So we have to, there's a lot of analysis that has to go into it to say, well, are we confident that this change has resulted in a positive uplift and nothing else has contributed to that? And I suppose an example to give you on that is, for a footwear retailer we worked with, they had an in-stock tag on their product pages. Now, I looked at this and I thought, why do you need an in-stock tag, right? Surely you want out of stock and do an email capture for that, or it's not necessary, right? It's a footwear retailer. The assumption would be that unless you tell me otherwise, the product is in stock. So we moved this, we just got rid of it. And the idea was I was happy with a zero change in performance, because what it was going to do was allow, particularly on mobile, it was going to help us pull other stuff on the page up a little bit and give us some more space to use. So I said, as long as we don't have a negative impact, I'm happy. On desktop, that's pretty much what happened. There was almost no change. It was barely noticeable. Some of the stuff popped up from under the call to action, but not a lot changed. But on mobile, we saw a 19% increase in conversion rate because that had happened. Because that tag had gone, it pulled the add to cart up, which pulled USPs up above the fold. And suddenly people could see all this information much quicker, and it had an incredible impact.
Wow.
But this is an example of where you really have to think about why this happened. It's not because... So one way of thinking would be the in-stock tag was putting people off. So by removing it, conversion rate went up. Obviously, that's not the case. No one's going to not buy it because the product says in stock. What happened was we freed up the space and we were able to get more important information to people more quickly. But it was almost like an unintended side effect of the test, because really we were just trying to free up that space.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's just, you must see it all day long because it's your job, but it's just amazing to me what will prevent people from buying. And I think we should never underestimate how much small things, seemingly small things, can actually just make people give up and go away. They just stop. I'm guilty
Yeah.
of that myself all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think a really important thing to remember with CRO is when you're running tests, you can't just look at that top level data that are reporting that the tool will give you. You know, if it tells you it's a 5% uplift in performance, you've got to dig into that and understand where the uplift is, because what might be a positive change for some people is going to be a negative change for others. So you might see that on mobile your conversion rate goes up, on desktop it comes down, or you might see that for paid social traffic your conversion rate goes up, but PPC it comes down, or email it comes down. So you have to, and then you start to have to implement based on that, right? Not just do blanket implementation, unless you don't have the ability to not do that. In which case, you know, if you've got an increase overall, you might be happy to take that. But it's definitely worth segmenting that and only releasing things for the people who it's benefiting.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Cool. Well, I love that. So that process is really easy to remember, really easy to kind of understand. Before we go, I'd love it if you could share with us your favorite tools. Like, what tools are you using? What's your tool stack like for CRO in 2024?
Yes, we use Microsoft Clarity for heat mapping and session recording. It's free. It gives you all the data. It breaks everything down really well. So it's almost a no-brainer tool, really. Some of the paid tools do a bit more. They do some like auto segmentation and stuff, which is useful. But for smaller brands in particular, I'd say go Clarity, because if you use like Hotjar, for example, on their lower plans, you pay for a certain amount of your sessions per day, right? So if it collects a load of bad data for you because it just picks up on a load of rubbish sessions, it's just a bit of a waste. So Clarity will just pick up everything for you, and you'll be able to pick up enough data much more quickly. We use Convert mostly as our A/B testing platform, and then we use Shogun or Raplo for landing pages, and then it kind of, well, I wouldn't say there's anything too special. We use either Typeform or Google Forms for collecting feedback, where we use our clients' customer service tool for their customer service invites. We use their review platform. You know, most brands have a review platform in place. We recommend Reviews or Akendo if someone doesn't, or if they want to move. But a lot of the time we are working with what our clients have. It is normally Clarity and Convert that we have to bring in, because they often don't have those. And then there's, I was going to say, we use ChatGPT a lot. We use a paid account. We've got loads of custom GPTs, loads of custom prompts that we've written. So we use that a lot for helping with analysis. And the really important thing is you can't just ask ChatGPT what you should fix on your website or what the best opportunities are, because it will just spit out some random best practice stuff from the internet that is not
Yeah.
going to help you at all. But what you can do is feed in all your customer reviews or your customer feedback and ask it to start summarizing it for you.
Yeah.
Ask it for the main themes that pop up, positive and negative, how many people respond with that. Yeah, just ask it for feedback and ask it for, you're asking it for a report of the data. You're not asking it for analysis of the data. That's still our job. We still have to do that because ChatGPT doesn't have the context. It doesn't have that ability to actually analyze the data and come up with actual solutions for this. But it's good at working out. It's good at running through all that data really quickly for us, and then telling us
for the patterns, for understanding what action the pattern then.
So I think the most important thing is go speak to your customers. There's no good alternative to it. You don't have to get them on a call. Like, my preference, especially if you're a smaller company, is to get people on even 15-minute calls. Ask them a few questions about why they wanted to buy. Right? Don't ask them about your website and your brand and stuff. Ask them what's important to them about the product, why they want to buy it, like what do they care about. Do that. If you can put an hour aside or 2 hours aside every week, you do that's 8. You can do 8 interviews a week. You're going to get loads of insight. If you don't want to do that, customer service, reviews, send a survey out. Just anything qualitative which comes from your customers is going to be fantastic.
Yeah. Post-purchase survey on automatic, right? Got to be doing that. Yeah,
exactly.
Amazing. So much cool insight for us to go away and implement in our businesses. So where can we follow you for more? How can our listeners get in touch with you? Yeah, how can we stay in touch?
Yes, we either go to customerswhoclick.com, which is our website. We've got our case studies on there, information about what we do, how we work, and then connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I share content there every day about CRO, and I'm always available through DMs and stuff there. So either the website or LinkedIn is best.
Thanks, Will. Thanks for coming along. It was great to have you.
No problem. Thanks so much for having me.